Hello, everybody, and happy holidays. Welcome to the season finale of That Wrestling Show. I am your host, Bill Yankovi, and yes, this is the final episode of 2024 That Wrestling Show. 2 reviews this week. Gonna review Ring of Honor's Final Battle and WWE's TLC event. Give you my thoughts on both of those, plus predictions for Wrestle Kingdom 15, as by the time the show comes back in 2 weeks, Wrestle Kingdom will have already taken place, will have been in the books. History will undoubtedly have been made by that point. There's really not much major news to discuss other than what happened at the pay-per-views. Well, I guess we could talk about real quick the awards. Impact Wrestling and WWE gave out their awards this week. Impact Wrestling, they had a two-parter for their year-end show, which is a smart move. You know, give everybody time off. I'll read off the winners, or at least the winners they have listed here. Ace Austin was named the X Division Star of the Year. The North were named the Tag Team of the Year. Deonna Purrazzo named Knockout of the Year. Let's see, what else did we also have? I'm looking at this. Well, and Wrestler of the Year was also Deonna Purrazzo. A big accomplishment for her, getting not only the Knockout of the Year, but the Wrestler of the Year. So congratulations to Deonna Purrazzo, who cleaned it up for Impact Wrestling. I'm sure they'll give out more awards next week, but I'm not going to really pay too much attention to that. The Slammies were held on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. in the morning. You're not hearing that wrong. If you were at work, they had their Slammy Awards on a Wednesday morning. So, with that being said, I'll go over the winners. Drew McIntyre was named Superstar of the Year. Match of the Year was Undertaker versus AJ Styles, WrestleMania 36, the Boneyard match. I cannot argue with that whatsoever for WWE. The Rivalry of the Year, Edge versus Randy Orton. The Street Profits named Tag Team of the Year. Edge won the Return of the Year. The Ring Gear of the Year went to the New Day. Street Profits were named the Breakout Stars of the Year. Sasha Banks named the Female Superstar of the Year. Drew McIntyre named the Male Superstar of the Year. Undertaker's Final Farewell at Survivor Series was named the Moment of the Year by WWE. Drew Gulak won a Slammy for the most creative 24/7 pin, as he was in a janitor outfit. Okay. Elias won Musical Performance of the Year. Bayley, Social Media Superstar of the Year. Co-winners for the Trash Talker of the Year went to Lacey Evans and the Hurt Business. Undertaker, The Last Ride, won the WWE Network Documentary of the Year award. Rob Gronkowski named Celebrity Appearance of the Year. Bayley, betraying Sasha Banks, won the Double Cross of the Year. And Charles Robinson named Referee of the Year. Apparently, they do care about referees. So, there you go. All the people that won a Slammy. Alright, let's get into the first review, because I am going to talk about our award show that we have coming up and the nominees that were just announced earlier this week. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on, but let's talk about Final Battle, which took place this past Friday night. Absolutely fun show to watch from beginning to end. Not the show of the year, but I thought it was a pretty doggone good show for Ring of Honor. First pay-per-view in a year since last year's Final Battle. This was a stacked card, and there were changes made to the card, to the show, due to the pandemic. Talked about that last week. But let's talk about the first pre-show match, which was a Four Corners survival match, where the winner would be the number one contender to the television title and would get a title shot later that night on the show. Dak Draper, Tony Deppen, LSG, and Josh the Goods Woods. This was a fun match for the fact that Dak Draper had almost the perfect strategy to this match, because this match was contested under Lucha rules, which means you did not have to make a pin, or you did not have to make a tag. If you go out to the floor, someone else can come in. So I kind of liked that. But yes, Dak Draper is the story of the match because he dominates every single person that, tries to do anything with him. And especially Tony Deppen. Deppen just takes a butt whooping throughout the entirety of this match. And Draper on multiple occasions had near 3 counts, but just could not get it done. But LSG and Josh Woods got involved, and they managed to make this a match. And then the ending, Tony Deppen, out of nowhere, gets this schoolboy roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Deppen wins the match, gets the title shot later tonight. A very well done match, an enjoyable match. I gave this a B-, because this was a very fun match. Now, this next part I have to mention. Normally I don't mention the stuff that happens in between unless something of interest comes up, and this is definitely one of those things. So, Jay Briscoe comes into the arena, and he's being interviewed by Quinn McKay. And this was one of the big matches that was going to happen that got canceled because EC3 tested positive for COVID. So Jay Briscoe's like, so he was looking door handles. That's why he's not in this match. That's why he's not here, because he was looking door handles tonight. Oh my God, that was so great. So Jay goes to his brother Mark, and he's like, I'm free. Let's go for the tag titles tonight. And Mark's like, you missed the boat, man. You missed the boat. I got a partner. So Jay's out of a match. But here's Shane Taylor, who is also out of a match. He was going to go for the 6-man tag team titles. That match got canceled. So Shane's like, you looking for a fight? I'm looking for a fight. And we got us a match. We've got us a match. Shane Taylor and Jay Briscoe later on. Now to the other pre-show match. Red Titus and Tracy Williams of the Foundation against Wheeler Yuta and Fred Yehi. This is the first ever Pure Rules tag team match. And the rules to this are as follows. To make a tag, you have to hold the tag rope, has to be hand to hand. None of this tag him on the shoulder or on the back kind of thing. 5 seconds to get in and out of the ring. If you break up a pinfall or a submission attempt, that counts as a rope break. You're given a warning on a punch, obviously. Second one, you're disqualified. I will say this. This was a new venture, doing it for tag teams. It's going to take time. It is going to take time for this concept to work, to get it going, to make it a smooth transition. Eventually, this will work, I think. But they just need to iron out some things here and there, and it's going to take a little while. It really is going to take a while. But once they get it done, I think we're going to be okay. I think it's going to be good. But it was Tracy Williams and Red Titus that ended up getting the win. I gave it a C+, because the action was good. The action was good. It's just the pure rules tag team concept is a little hard at times. And, it's like I said, it's the first time. They've never done this. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. But I think once they get it, like I said, it's going to be fun to watch. So I gave it a C+. Now we go to the main pay-per-view. And we start with the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Jay Lethal, Jonathan Gresham defending the belts against Mark Briscoe and PCO. This match is the tag team versus the fighting team. The wrestlers want it to be a wrestling match. The fighters want it to be a fight. And this was a very good tag team match. Not the best tag match on the pay-per-view. That's coming up in a little bit. But this was a good tag team match. The wrestlers were able to make it wrestling when they had the advantage. The fighters were able to make it fighting when they had the advantage. The end comes when PCO and Mark Briscoe, they do a double team. And then Gresham is able to reverse a move, get it into an O'Connor roll to get the 3 count and the win. Gresham and Lethal retain the tag team titles. Like I said, it was a good match. It was enjoyable. I gave it a B. I thought it was good for being the opening match of the actual pay-per-view. Now, this next match came together during the pre-show, and I forgot to mention it because I guess I just went over it, but Ray Horus against Dalton Castle. So Ray Horus was the only member of the 6-man tag team champions that did not test positive for COVID. The only member. So he was able to be at the arena. Dalton Castle did not have a match. He was on commentary for the first kickoff or first pre-show match. And he's like, well, Ray Horus doesn't have a match. I want to be a part of it. I'm going to go and make a match. I'm going to have this happen. So they got this going. This was probably the low point of the night for me. And I'm not saying that it's a bad match. Sometimes when I say, this was the low point, I'm sure some people tend to think, they think it's a god-awful match. They think it's terrible. I just think the way this was for a little bit, it just didn't really click. It was a last second situation. It was an okay match. Ray Horus won with a beautiful move. It was a cartwheel into a pin from the second rope. It was a beautiful looking move. And Ray Horus got the win over Dalton Castle. Like I said, I thought the action was good. It just, at times, may have been a little rushed, may have felt a little long. So I'm going to give it a C+. Then we get to where this pay-per-view, from this point on, is absolutely amazing stuff. Next match is The Righteous versus Matt Taven and Michael Bennett. This was a fun tag team match to watch because it starts as a brawl, then you get into a match, and they're really working on Matt Taven during the match. They work on Michael Bennett during the match, Vincent and Bateman. Excuse me. And it's just really, really good storytelling. And then Bennett gets the hot tag, and he's a House of Fire, and then they do this sick move where Bennett has Vincent, he's holding Vincent. He's in between the apron and what will be the floor. Bennett's holding him. Taven makes this jump from the top rope, big splash, right onto Vincent. For the most part, takes him out of the match. So, eventually, the end, Taven and Bennett double team Bateman to get the win. And then after the match, they tie up Matt Taven into the ropes. They beat up Michael Bennett. And they get a 2x4, a block. They put it in between the legs of Bennett. And they use a steel chair. And they hit it. And they're trying to break Bennett's ankles. And it's obvious that this feud is far from over. This was an amazing tag team match. I thought it was the best tag match of this show. I gave it a B+. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Then we have this match, which I was kind of surprised made it onto the pay-per-view. I thought for sure this was a pre-show match, but it gets onto the pay-per-view. Brian Johnson, no, not the lead singer of AC/DC. Brian Johnson faces Danhausen. The stipulation is this. If Danhausen wins, he gets a contract with Ring of Honor. This is his last chance. And if he doesn't win, he obviously does not get a job. This match is a funny match. I don't say that a lot, but it's so good. And this is really my first true time seeing Danhausen. Like, I've heard a lot about him, but I've never really seen Danhausen in action. And he is freaking hilarious. Oh my god, he is so funny. So, early in the match, they go to the outside. Danhausen's beating up on Brian Johnson, and Danhausen's like, play Danhausen's music! Play Danhausen's music! And they actually play the music, and Danhausen does this dive from the apron onto Brian Johnson. And Danhausen, he keeps winning. He's winning this match, but the tide changes. Brian Johnson, gets the momentum. Then he gets a microphone. And my God, Brian Johnson is amazing. He won me over in this match. Both these guys did. Because Brian Johnson grabs the mic and he's like, I'm sick and tired of you fat fans with your sausage fingers typing about me. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm going to take care of this clown. I'm going to get him out of Ring of Honor. And it's so good. And then every time he tries to get the three count, Danhausen somehow kicks out. And it frustrates him. It just frustrates him. Then we get to the end. Danhausen apparently carries with him a jar of teeth. Let me repeat that. Danhausen carried with him a jar of teeth. So Brian Johnson sees this, and he pours them into Danhausen's mouth. So, he's going to hit him, but Danhausen blocks. And eventually Johnson does hit Danhausen, who has teeth in his mouth, but it goes into the referee's eyes. So the referee is out, or at least temporarily out. So Danhausen, seeing the referee is out temporarily, he's in trouble. Johnson's on the attack. He grabs the microphone. This microphone never leaves the ring. Danhausen grabs the microphone, rubs some of his face paint onto the microphone, and he starts going, "Oh! Oh!" And the referee gets up. And Danhausen's like, "He hit me. He hit me with the microphone." And the referee sees Johnson holding the microphone. There's paint on the microphone. The referee calls for the bell. Danhausen won by disqualification. Danhausen now has a job in Ring of Honor in one of the most creative ways ever. It was absolutely hilarious. I don't know if anyone else could have pulled it off. I gave it a B-. It was an entertaining match. It really was. If you're looking for this to be a 5-star classic, it's not. But it was such an entertaining match. Then we go to the TV Championship. Tony Deppen against Dragon Lee. This is Dragon Lee's first match in 9 or 10 months. That's a big thing that they mention in this. So Amy Rose, who is a member of Los Faccional Ingobernable, is on commentary with Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman. And I want to say, for the record, Ian and Caprice were fantastic the entire night of this show. They have improved. Ian especially has improved so much in this last year, as a commentator. There was a time, a year and a half ago, I could not stand this man on commentary. Now, I really appreciate him. He is so good as a commentator. Really good. But this match, oh my. Folks, I know this expression does not get used a lot in wrestling, but Tony Deppen in one night became a star. He became a star in one night. That 4-way match earlier, and then this TV title match. Oh my God, this TV title match, amazing. There were times where Deppen comes within an eyelash of winning the television title, and you're believing it. It's like he's going to beat him. He's going to beat Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee hasn't had a match in 10 months. Deppen, he's been wrestling, frequently lately. This kid is going to win the television title, and he gets so many near, 3 counts. It's amazing. And in a weird way, and I know this is going to be a weird comparison of what I'm about to say, but it's true. He reminds me of Bob Backlund. The way he moves in the ring, the way he wrestles. The only difference is Deppen has a personality. Whereas to Bob Backlund, with all due respect to Bob, because he is a good wrestler, he had no personality really until he became a heel. Deppen has personality. But this match is so good. They go back and forth, back and forth. Deppen on probably like 3-4 occasions came so close to winning the television title. But Dragon Lee in the end pulls it out to retain the television title. This is a match I would go out of the way if you have not seen this match. This is a match you should go see. An incredible match. I really think Tony Deppen had his breakout performance at Final Battle. B+, a fantastic title match. Fantastic. Then we go to Shane Taylor against Jay Briscoe. This is a straight up fight. It is a straight up fight, and it is fun to watch. And you could tell Shane Taylor has improved because he's moving better in the ring. He's being cleaner in the ring. You could tell he's lost weight. Like, there's still weight there, but he's lost a good amount of weight. And here with Jay Briscoe, he sticks with him move for move, every which way. And it is a fun match. Nobody gets involved. I mean, Shane Taylor had SOS out there with him, and they did not get involved in this match, which is actually kind of enjoyable. This was a fun match. Shane Taylor got the win, and he's probably going to get a future title shot down the road. A very good match. I really like this, especially for this being on such short notice. I gave this a B. Then we go to, if it hadn't been for one other match at TLC, this would have been the match of the weekend. Jonathan Gresham defending the Pure title against Flip Gordon. The story to this match. Jonathan Gresham can make you use a rope break just like that. Snap of a finger. Within the first 7 minutes of the match, Flip Gordon has used all of his rope breaks. Within the first 7 minutes, Flip Gordon is out of rope breaks. Gordon makes this comeback. And he's going move for move, hold for hold with Jonathan Gresham. He's doing everything possible he can to come back. Eventually, Gresham uses all 3 rope breaks. And then we get to a point where Flip Gordon punches Gresham in the face, which is illegal in Pure Wrestling rules. So he's been given a warning, and he gets more of an advantage. And he gets so close to winning the title, he just cannot do it. But then the end of the match, Jonathan Gresham hits this amazing knee on the Flip Gordon, and it just staggers him, and he starts going, running to the ropes, knee, running to the ropes, knee, running to the ropes, knee, and the referee has to stop the match because he knows Flip cannot defend himself whatsoever. Jonathan Gresham retains the Pure Wrestling title in a fantastic match. I thought this was the best match of the pay-per-view. I gave it an A-. Then we go to the main event. Brody King challenging Roosh for the Ring of Honor World title. So the last time Roosh had a match before the pandemic was when he won back the Ring of Honor title for the second time. That's the last time he's had a match. So, we get Brody King, the big heavyweight, and Roosh, who, he's not as big as Brody, but he does have strength with him, and he has that bad boy attitude with him. So he, is coming to fight. He's coming to play today. You get a good back and forth match on the outside. Weapons get used, cords, steel chairs. They use the barricade. And it's like every time Roosh has the advantage, he gets so arrogant, he gets so cocky. It is absolutely amazing. It's a you love to hate him kind of scenario, and that's exactly what it is with him. It is a you love to hate him kind of scenario. So we go further along, and then we get to the end of the match. Brody King looks like he's about to win. He's about to win the title. Dragon Lee comes running out. He distracts the referee. All of a sudden, here comes this guy through the crowd, with no crowd, hits Brody King with a steel chair. It's Roosh's father, the original Perolf, who hits him with the chair. And Roosh hits, the bull's horns, gets the 3 count. Rush retains the Ring of Honor World title. He, his dad, and his brother celebrate the big victory in the ring. And then after the match, members of the foundation come out and we have a stare down. And it's like, oh my, this is going to get real fun for 2021. I gave this match a B. Could have been a little more, but it was a good main event. And if you have not seen Rush, and it's spelled like Rush, but it's pronounced Rush, go watch him. He is an amazing talent. As far as the show overall, it is a very strong B. I enjoyed the heck out of this show. Like I said, the worst match on this show was not technically the worst wrestling match you'll see ever. It just happened to be in that position. And it was a really, really good show from beginning to end. You got to get behind. To me, this is the night. Like 6 months ago with Slammiversary, that was the show that Impact made that turnaround. This is the exact same thing with Ring of Honor. They needed that one show to make the turn, and they exactly did that with Final Battle. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. I'm going to be very, very interested to see what they do there. Well, like I said a little earlier in the show, by the time that wrestling show comes back on January the 8th, Wrestle Kingdom 15 will have already taken place. So, figure in between our two reviews here, gonna preview all the matches that are going to take place on both nights of Wrestle Kingdom. And I'm going to talk about each match, give you my prediction, with the exception of two, and I'll explain why in a minute. So, the first day on January the 4th, they're going to have a special kind of a Rumble match. Well, they're calling it a New Japan Rambo. So, I guess Sly Stallone's going to be there. And what's going to happen is the last few people in this match are going to end up facing Toru Yano on the 5th for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy, which Yano successfully retained and was the champion of 2020. So I have no idea who's going to win that one. Then we go to the main card, and it's going to start with Hiromu Takahashi against El Phantasmo. The winner will go to the next show the following day, get a shot at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. This is going to be a fun match to watch. I think Hiromu is going to take this match. He's going to beat El Phantasmo. Match number 2 on the card is the IWGP Tag Team Championship. Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi will defend against the winners of the World Tag League, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the Gorillas of Destiny. You know what? Sabre and Taichi have been really good as of late. I'm going to stick with the champs. They're going to retain the tag team titles. Then, this match is very interesting because, well, there's a little bit of a change to it. Kenta will be defending his contract to challenge for the IWGP United States title against Satoshi Kojima. The match was originally Juice Robinson, but Juice Robinson got hurt recently, thus he cannot be on the show. Kojima has taken his place. Either way, Kenta is going to win that match. He's going to retain that contract. Then we have Hiroshi Tanahashi against the Great O-Khan. I would think O-Khan is going to take this one. I would think. He's a new young talent, but again, Tanahashi, he is the ace. So it's going to be very interesting, but I'm going to say Great-O-Khan gets the win. Then we have this match. This is going to be a fun match. Kazuchika Okada against Will Ospreay. Wow, you talk about a big match. This is a big match right here. I think Ospreay's going to win this one. I really do. I mean, if you want to elevate him to be a legitimate heavyweight contender, this is the time to do it by beating Kazuchika Okada, and I think he will do it. The main event of Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom 15 is for both the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental titles. Tetsuya Naito defending against Kota Ibushi. Ibushi won the G1 Climax earlier this year. This is a very interesting situation, but see, I thought a year ago it was Ibushi's time and was wrong on that one. Come back 1 year later, I think Ibushi's going to win this match. I think he's going to win the belts from Naito. It just has to happen. I mean, you teased it last year. He didn't get the job done. You're in the same situation again. It's got to be Ibushi. It just has to be Ibushi winning that one. So the second day is going to feature an exhibition match with the Women of Stardom. No female wrestlers have been announced at the time of this recording, so won't make a pick there. And also the King of Pro Wrestling trophy will be on the line. Will not make a prediction on that one because, well, I don't know who the participants are besides the champ. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles are going to be defended. Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado will defend the belts against Master Wato and Ryosuke Taguchi. Should be an interesting match, but I'm going to stick with the champs. I think Kanemaru and Desperado are going to hold on to the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Shingo Takagi will defend the Never Openweight title against Jeff Cobb. This is a huge opportunity for Jeff Cobb to win some gold in New Japan, and I think Jeff Cobb is going to do exactly that. Jeff Cobb will win the Never Openweight title. Sonata will face Evil, the battle of the former tag team partners. This should be an interesting match here. I'm gonna go Sonata on this one. I think Sonata getting a win over Evil would be pretty big, but I wouldn't be upset if Evil defeated Sonata either. Taiji Ishimori will defend the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against the winner of the Hiromu Takahashi El Phantasmo match. I said Takahashi would win that match, so it's going to be Ishimori against Takahashi. And I think we're going to have a new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. I think Takahashi is going to win back the Junior Heavyweight title. And the main event of Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 15 is for both the Heavyweight and Intercontinental titles. Whomever the champion is will face Jay White, who does have the contract to the right to challenge. So he will be the challenger here. So I'm going to play a two-scenario situation here. If it is Ibushi against Jay White, Ibushi will retain the titles. Because that is my original pick. I said Ibushi would beat Naito. Ibushi will beat Jay White. If it is Naito that ends up winning and he faces Jay White will win both belts. But I'm going to go with my original pick. Kota Ibushi will beat Naito on the first night and will beat Jay White to retain on the second night. So it's going to be very fun to see how Wrestle Kingdom is. And in 2 weeks, 2 weeks is when I will review both these shows, because that's how 2021 is going to begin, is with some Wrestle Kingdom. Okay, so if you did not get a chance to hear this past Monday, the official nominees were announced for the upcoming that wrestling award show. The voting will begin on December 28th on our Facebook group. And it is only on our Facebook group. Nowhere else can you do this. This is an award show that you, the fans, you nominated the people and the moments, and you're going to pick who wins in each of these categories. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to give you my initial reaction. Wrestler of the Year, to me, it's down to Moxley and McIntyre. I like that Kenny Omega's gotten some support the last few weeks, but I think it will come down to either Jon Moxley or Drew McIntyre that wins that award. Woman of the Year, Asuka got the most nominations out of this. Going to be very interesting to see how that turns out. I would assume Asuka is the favorite, but just have to wait and see. Tag Team of the Year, Kenny Omega and Adam Page were the leaders as far as nominations go, which was kind of interesting. The Street Profits also got multiple votes, and the Young Bucks got multiple votes as well, so got to be interesting there. But the Match of the Year, this is the most interesting category I think we've got this year, because a total of 8 matches were nominated for Match of the Year. Only one match got multiple votes. The others each got a vote. So it'll be interesting to see if any of those matches top Adam Page and Kenny Omega against the Young Bucks. They're the heavy favorite. I mean, my God, that match was just amazing. It really, really was. Promotion, Best Wrestling Promotion, AEW had the most nominations there. They could be the runaway winner on that one. Best Weekly TV Show, Dynamite again. AEW had the most nominations. Could be another runaway there. Best Major Wrestling Show of the Year. This is the one that surprised me because the Royal Rumble got the most the most nominations out of all the shows that were nominated. I'm very surprised that it did. Because, I mean, I didn't think the Rumble was the show of the year, but you never know. It has a strong possibility to be that. Best Commentator, Tony Schiavone got the most nominations out of the people that did nominate. So he's going to be a favorite, I think, to take that award. The most shocking moment in wrestling, the Hell Has Frozen Over award. Pretty much, it's Sting debuting in AEW against everybody else, and Sting's probably going to win that award there. They should be in the WWE Hall of Fame award. That's going to be interesting. And a certain somebody voted for RoboCop. Why? Why would you? How dare you? I don't know if we could be friends anymore. But other than that, Owen Hart, Demolition, and Dynamite Kid got the most nominations there, so it should be very interesting. Feud of the Year, that's going to come down to Bayley and Sasha or Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley to me. That's really how I see it. Most overrated, I was surprised Keith Lee got a vote. I was so surprised. I think Bray Wyatt might be the favorite for that one. I really think he'll be the favorite to win that award. And then most underrated, that could be anybody. That really could be anybody this year. Could be Ricochet, could be Orange Cassidy, could be Shona Benjamin. Who knows who it's going to be? But a very interesting group of nominees for the most underrated wrestler of the year. Like I said, the voting will begin this coming Monday, December 28th. And voting will end January the 14th, because on the 15th is when we will have our annual award show honoring the best in all of pro wrestling from you guys, the fans, who were the ones who gave us all the nominees. Okay, well, now we got to go to the other pay-per-view, which is TLC, the final pay-per-view of the year. And this is going to be an interesting review because we don't have Dave Meltzer's ratings. And I do want to say real quick before I go into this, I do want to send my thoughts to Dave Meltzer's family. For those who have not heard, his mother passed away this week at the age of 91 years old. It sucks to lose anyone, but to lose your mother, and I know that, we do, rip on Dave Meltzer sometimes, but it is his family, and, gotta send some love to him and his family during a difficult time, especially during the holiday season. So, Meltzer, we're not going to do the ratings there because he did not do them at the time of the recording. However, CBS Sports, they got their ratings, so I'm going to probably go crazy over them as well. Small card, actually. 7 matches, including the pre-show. And let's get to it. And going to start with the pre-show, which was an 8-man tag team match, which was, the people in this one was amazing. Daniel Bryan, Big E, Chad Gable, and Otis against Sami Zayn, King Corbin, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. This was not a bad match for being a kickoff match. I think unless you really were invested in the SmackDown these last few weeks, you probably were like, why do we have these people in this match together? But you know what? It was an alright match. It was harmless. It really didn't do anything bad. Didn't hurt anybody. An 8-man tag, and this was a fun 8-man tag. The ending saw Big E hit the big ending on Sami Zayn to get the 3 count and the victory for his team. And I'm going to say this right now because of that. Big E tomorrow on SmackDown. Oh, by the way, for those wondering, SmackDown is pre-taped. It is not live. Thank God. So the wrestlers will be at home on Christmas Day. But this is a taped show, but Big E is going to challenge Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title tomorrow night on SmackDown. As far as the match goes, like I said, it wasn't a bad match. It was harmless. So I gave it a C. And CBS Sports gave it a B-. So we're not really too far off. Now, we go to the pay-per-view. And we start... Excuse me. I had brunch this morning. I had a Christmas Eve brunch. It was actually pretty good. I had some hash browns and scrambled eggs. It was very good. But back to the show. AJ Styles challenging Drew McIntyre for the WWE title in a TLC match. And this was a bit interesting at times because AJ Styles... Well, both of them were good in this match. Let me say that. Both of them were good in this match. AJ Styles uses different weapons to get the calf crush onto Drew McIntyre. He uses a ladder. He uses a chair. It's just so good to see. And it's just a good back and forth fight. AJ eventually goes through a table. So Drew is going to climb the ladder. And it looks like he's going to win. Because Omis, AJ's bodyguard, isn't doing anything. All of a sudden, The Miz runs out. And he attacks Drew. And he powerbombs Drew through the table. John Morrison is there. And this next part I'm going to say is very, very important because they do talk about it on Raw the following night. John Morrison cashes in the contract for The Miz. So this match becomes a triple threat match for the WWE title. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, because I was reading on Facebook, there were people that were mad about this decision. I say, why not? Why not have The Miz cash in the contract now? I mean, when else is Miz going to cash in that contract? That's the argument that I made on the Patreon review. When else is Miz going to cash in that contract? Because he's not going to do it at the Royal Rumble. He's not going to do it at WrestleMania. He had to do it here. Otherwise, what was the whole point of The Miz getting the contract in the first place? So, Miz goes up the ladder. He's about to win the title. But then Omos came. Miz jumps. Omos catches him. He's holding him like a baby. He walks over to the ropes and just drops him through a table. Morrison then gives Omos this chair shot. And he gives him this chair shot to the point where the chair broke into pieces. And it's a good visual of what Omos could be. So Omos chases Morrison to the back, and that's the end of those two. So the rest of the way, it's the three of them fighting for the title. Drew McIntyre eventually regains the WWE title. I know there were people upset about how Miz got involved, but again, I'm going to make the argument, when else was Miz going to cash in that contract? I gave it a B-. CBS Sports gave it a B, so again, we're not that far off. Then we go to the SmackDown Women's title match. Carmella against Sasha Banks. So Cher versus Beyonce. At first, I had a little bit of trouble with this match. At first. But as it kept going, it started to get a little bit better. The star of the match is Reginald, who's Carmella's, sommelier? I guess that's how you pronounce it. Reginald gets involved twice during this match to save Carmella. And he gets beat up for it. And it's a really good job. He looks really good. This could be a good combo. Carmella tries for her submission. Sasha gets out of it. Sasha puts her submission on. Carmella at first gets out of it, but Sasha comes back, able to lock in the bank statement, and Carmella taps, and Sasha retains the SmackDown Women's title. I had this match at a lower grade, to be honest. But the more I thought about it, it wasn't that bad of a match. It was not that terrible of a match. So I gave this a C because, there were good points in this match. There were. CBS Sports gave it a B+, and that's going to be our first disagreement there. Next up, the Raw Tag Team titles. The New Day defending against the Hurt Business. Story is they work on Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods makes the tag to Kofi Kingston. He's a House of Fire. Hurt Business comes back. Cedric makes a tag. Sheldon's a little upset at first, but MVP's like, it's okay. Let him do this. Cedric hits the lumbar check. 1, 2, 3. The Hurt Business win the Raw Tag Team titles. That was sort of a easy conclusion there. You knew who was going to win it. I thought this match was going to be a little bit better, but it wasn't, which is kind of disappointing because I really like the Hurt Business, and the New Day, when it comes to tag team title matches, could put on a very, very good clinic at times. And this one was kind of an average match, so I gave it a C. CBS Sports gave it a B-, so again, not too far off. Then we go to the Women's Tag Team title match. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defending against Asuka and a mystery partner. Boy, I wonder who the mystery partner is going to be. It's Charlotte Flair. Come on, guys. I think we all knew it was going to go that way. But I'll tell you what, this was a good match. This was a good tag team match. You know what? I'd go so far as to say better than the 8-man tag and the Raw tag title match. I was thoroughly enjoyed by this tag match. It was a good back and forth match. Asuka was taking a bit of a beat down from Nia and Shayna. They both looked good in this. Charlotte looked good in this too. All four of them came off in this match looking good. Charlotte tried to get the figure 8 on, couldn't do it. So Asuka and Nia, they fight back and forth. Shayna's in the ring with Charlotte. Shayna tries to get the Karafuda clutch on, and Charlotte is able to reverse it to hit natural selection. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte and Asuka win the women's tag team titles. Like I said, I thought it was a good match, especially knowing who the mystery... I think a lot of people knew who the mystery partner was going to be. But it was a good match. It was actually an enjoyable match. I gave this a C+. CBS Sports gave it a B, so, again, not too far off in our grading. So for the most part, our grading's been pretty good here. Then we go to this match. And like I said earlier in the Ring of Honor review, if this match had not happened, Jonathan Gresham and Flip Gordon would have been my match of the weekend. But this match, far and away, was the best match of the weekend. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, TLC match, Universal title. They went all out on this match, and it was fantastic. Roman Reigns comes out first, which is kind of surprising. So he's waiting for KO. KO comes out of nowhere, attacks Roman Reigns right from the get-go. He's beating on him, beating him. And they go to the outside, and he's just beating the daylights out of this guy with chair shots. Roman is just getting his butt whooped. And Jey Uso comes out, and he gets beat up for his troubles. And it ends up where KO takes a chair, puts it on Jey Uso's ankle, and hits him with the chair on it. Jey Uso has to be taken to the back. So you're like, okay, this is a one-on-one match. But it's so good because Jey Uso comes out and he stays there for the rest of the match. He's there, to prevent Owens from grabbing the Universal title, and they're fighting, and then Reigns gets the advantage, and he's like, stay down. But Owens comes back, and he's fighting him, and then Roman hits this spear through the table, and the table, it looks like it was broken into 1,000 pieces. And, at that point, Roman could have gone up and grabbed the belt, and that could have been the match. But instead, he goes outside with KO, and he tries to hit another spear. Owens moves out of the way. Reigns breaks the barricade. He's out of it. KO sees this. He goes up the ladder. He's going for the belt. He's actually touching the belt on 2-3 occasions. Jey Uso, he blocks him there, but Roman Reigns comes back. He hits him with the Superman punch, and then he tries a second time with the Superman punch, but KO catches him, puts him on a powerbomb through a table. KO goes back up the ladder. He's touching the belt again. Jey Uso gets involved. He's holding Owens. Owens kicks him away. Roman Reigns comes back up, puts him in a guillotine submission over the ladder, which puts KO in this situation. And Owens just falls to the mat. Roman Reigns grabs the belt, retains the Universal title. An incredible match. One of the best TLC matches I've seen in quite some time. A very good match. I'll tell you, Roman Reigns has just been impressive these last several pay-per-views. He's had the match of the night, I think, like 3 of the last 4 pay-per-views that WWE's had, which is a pretty good streak, I think. And CBS Sports and we both gave this the exact same grade, an A-. And it's a well-deserved A-. It was really, really good. And then we get to the main event. Randy Orton versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, in a Firefly Inferno match. I want you to let that sit in while I take a quick sip here. The main event of a show called TLC is not a TLC match. It's not a ladder match. It's not a tables match. It's not a chairs match. It's an Inferno match. And this match was made an Inferno match, I want to say like Friday or Saturday. So, now, to WWE's credit with this match, they did a good job of how they sort of prepared the match around the ring. The commentators were not at ringside, which I have to applaud WWE for, because if you watch the Attitude Era in those days when they had the Inferno match, JR and Jerry Lawler would be sitting at ringside, so they would be feeling the heat of the fire. And they're like 6-7 feet away, so they were close. So, the fire setup is actually around the barricade and even in the entrance. So, they start out, they're fighting, and Bray Wyatt is just dominating early in this match. Bray Wyatt grabs a rocking chair, and I'm thinking, oh God, this is, Sister Abigail. It's, remind me of Sister Abigail. And he pours gasoline on it, and he pours more gasoline on the floor. So he takes Orton, and he puts Orton on the rocking chair, and it's like, oh, bye. You know what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to light him on fire right there. So he grabs his lighter, puts it to the floor. Randy moves out of the way, but the chair, and I noticed this, there was red on the chair. I wasn't sure if anyone else noticed. I'm going to go to the conclusion that it's paint, because there was no blood, so it was obviously paint. So during this match, Bray Wyatt takes a leather strap, sets that on fire to try to hit Randy Orton with it. Missed. He uses a pickaxe. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. He uses a pickaxe, misses. Orton manages to come back. He finds an axe handle, a literal axe handle, hits the Fiend with it. So, in a way, they're being a little creative with these new weapons. So, they're going back and forth. They're fighting in the ring. They're fighting out of the ring. And then we get to the end. And I gotta say, the end of the match is actually a creative end. I did not mind the ending of the match. So the Fiend puts the mandible claw into Randy Orton. So he's got it in. And they're walking. And they're going towards the entrance. And there's a section where there's fire. Randy just turns around. He doesn't low blow him. He doesn't punch him. He doesn't do anything. He just turns him around. And he takes a couple steps forward. And the Fiend is set on fire. On his jacket. On the back. The Fiend is on fire. Randy Orton wins the match. I'm gonna say it. It was a creative way to end that match. So then, Bray Wyatt, who is on fire, runs into the ring. Randy hits an RKO, which somehow takes the fire out. So instead of doing stop, drop, and roll, kids, next time when someone's on fire, hit them with an RKO. Don't do that. Please don't. So now the Fiend is out of it. And Randy, he goes to the outside. And he grabs another can of fuel. And he pours it onto the Fiend. And then he goes back out. And he grabs some matches. And he lights the match. And he sets the Fiend on fire. And my first thought was, I hope this is not really the Fiend. I hope it's like either a stunt double or a dummy that's doing this. It was a dummy, you could tell. But, yeah, Randy Orton killed a guy. Lit him on fire. Killed him. Amazingly, CBS Sports and I gave this the same grade for the second match in a row. We gave it a C. The match was okay. The match wasn't the problem. It was just, I don't know. I mean, they were going for the shock value at the end, which they did. And I don't know, there were parts of it where I was like, but then there were parts of me that's like, this is actually kind of fun. So a C is a fairly good grade, I think. And that is TLC 2020. So what did our Facebook group think of this show? Well, I must have not been in a good mood when I watched this show, because everyone who voted on this gave it an A. With all due respect to those that voted, this is not an A show. This is more like a C show. So that's going to be the grade I give it. But again, I respect their opinion. Best match on the show is actually a three-way tie between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, with a vote for Sasha Banks against Carmella. I got to give it to Reigns and Owens. That was just an amazing match. It was a phenomenal match. Loved every minute of that match from beginning to end. It was really, really good. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this show. And more importantly, that's going to wrap it up for this year. Unbelievable that this year is over. 2020 is in the books, and you probably noticed I didn't do any tributes because, let's be honest, everyone. We've all suffered this year. This has not been a good year for anyone. But, through the dark, at the end of the tunnel, there is light. And we're going to get through this light, everybody. We're all going to get there. May not be together at the same time, but we're going to get through it. And I hope that this show has provided all of you with some comfort, help you be less stressed, less worried about everything going on in the world, make you feel not as angry, not as bitter as other people are, in real life. I do hope that this podcast has, in any way necessary this year, helped you guys get through the tough times during 2020, because Lord knows we've been through a lot this year, more than just the pandemic. And I just want to say to all of you out there listening, thank you for listening to this podcast. Next year is going to be a really big year for this podcast, because we're going to hit 2 milestones in 2011, believe it or not. Going to hit the 500 episode mark next year, and also going to celebrate 10 years of this podcast being in existence. That I find hard to believe, that it's been 10 years since this podcast began. And it is without you guys, you the fans, this is not possible. This show is not possible. When I was a kid, I thought, maybe I'll be, a commentator, sportscaster, something, talk about sports, talk about wrestling. And this has given me that opportunity, given me that opening to do that, and to know that this show is being heard literally all over the world is the greatest feeling for me. That is the true success. It's not the money, which I don't ever get, believe me. I really don't. I don't do this for the money. It's the fact that there's a community of wrestling fans out there from the 4 corners of the earth, all walks of life, who either by listening to this podcast or on our Facebook group or on Twitter or on Instagram, that get together each week to talk about wrestling, to listen about wrestling. The interesting stories, the sad stories, the reviews, the ups, the downs. And believe you me when I say this, this podcast has helped me during the year. And I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone who's ever supported this show, everyone who's ever been a guest on this show. 2021, I just got a feeling, folks. 2021 is going to be a really good year next year. Like I said, we're going to get through this. We're all going to get through this together. And, we've been, I guess you could say, a family. Yeah, we disagree at times. We agree. We fight. We laugh. We cry. But at the end of the day, that's what makes that wrestling show so fun to do, is because of you guys. You guys, get us through each and every day. And without you, this podcast does not happen. It does not exist. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for being listening, posting topics on the Facebook group, and just making a little boy's dream become a reality these last 9 years, especially this year when it's been a really, really hard year. If you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Follow the show on Twitter @WrestlingShow11. Follow the show on Instagram @ThatWrestlingShow. Join the Facebook group, That Wrestling Show Fan Group. And if you like what you hear, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ThatWrestlingShow. Alright, so for the last time this year, going to plug our friends. Check out our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn. This week, what went wrong with Vader in the WWF? That's a fair question. Plus, week 2 of the Royal Flush of the Worst Feuds, and a review of ECW from January 31st, 1995. Plus, this came out today, a holiday special, as Joe and Michael are joined by the one and only Sir Richard Land, as they do a live review of the very first Coliseum video, WWF's bloopers, bleeps, and body slams. That should be pretty fun to listen to. That is our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Also, check out Greetings from Allentown with Peter Winston. He watches one episode of professional wrestling each week in his own unique perspective. This week, he reviews Sunday Night Slam from March 26th, 1995. That is the week before WrestleMania 11, with the epic conclusion to the Lex Luger-Tatanka feud held in a steel cage. How epic. That is Greetings from Allentown. Also, check out Juice Pro Wrestling, where this week, Shredden talks about the origins of his podcast, how he met Juice and Bodie, and his own history on pro wrestling and podcasting. That is this week on Juice Pro Wrestling. And check out Two Fans Review Wrestling Podcast, where this week they take a look at the final hype towards the 1995 Survivor Series. If I had known they had done that, I could have asked to be a guest on the show. But check out Two Fans Review Wrestling Podcast. Now, if you're looking for non-wrestling related podcasts, check out the Best Pick Movie Podcast with Tom, John, and Jess, as they watch and review each and every Academy Award-winning Best Picture in no particular order. This week is actually a fun episode because it is their annual Christmas quiz with Tom Tuck, as they go through the 26 movies that they have watched in 2020, and let's see who really ends up the winner on this Christmas quiz. Check out Unspooled with Paul and Amy, as this year they are watching movies with effed up families. This week, just in time for Christmas, they watch the 1990 comedy Home Alone. That is this week on Unspooled. Check out The Castle Vault, a chronological deep dive of Disney animated films powered by Disney+. This week, they discuss Moana. Surprisingly, I have not seen that movie yet, but I will get to it, folks. I will get to it. That is on The Castle Vault. And check out Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, where this week they have Evan Gregory of the Gregory Brothers, as they discuss the We're All Doomed, Who's It Going to Be presidential debate video that Weird Al starred in just a little while ago. It was actually a pretty fun video if you check it out. That is on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. Also, real quick, check out Coliseum Corner, where I review each and every Coliseum video. Probably early next year, I'll get back into the mix of that. Also, check out Shark's Pond, a South Park podcast, where I review each and every South Park episode. All the episodes of the first 10 seasons are up. So if you need something to listen to during your break, listen to all 10 seasons. They're right there. Also, listen to the JC and Bill Sportscast, where my friend JC and I, we talk about sports from 2 different countries. He lives in Canada, I live here in the United States. And check out Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast with myself and Jim Boystar as we review each and every Royal Rumble match that has ever taken place, just to get you guys going for the upcoming Royal Rumble, which will take place on January 31. Well, like I said, in 2 weeks when I come back, going to review Wrestle Kingdom 15 both nights. That's going to be the big thing there next week. So for the final time this year, you have been listening to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. Have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa. I know Hanukkah has passed, but I hope you guys had a very happy Hanukkah. Stay safe, and we'll come back next year in 2021 on That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And for the last time this year, wrestle on. So, Van Halen, play us home.
Until we meet again. Happy trails to you. It's fine until then.
Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather.
Happy trails to you till we meet